Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy early start. Just like Thursday morning here as we're preparing to pick up the debris from the FOMC meeting yesterday. Obviously, the Fed raising the interest rates by another 0.25%, which was more or less expected. And then another bank failing as well with Pacific West, I believe it was, something like that, going under, or at least exploring new options is the more nice way of saying it, I guess. Anyways, other than that, I wanted to follow up on some of the medium-term time frame setups we were looking at yesterday. They are like slowly but surely kind of playing out here. Discuss some new setups and then look at the overall holistic picture. Anyways, other than that, I want to once again give the spotlight to the buyback promotion going on. Is they got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. Plus, you can get the Jewel Light for free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. And then also because they will be going KYC relatively soon, I believe in about another 4 days or so on the 8th. They do have a decentralized exchange arm called Apex, which you may or may not be interested in. There is another affiliate link in the description below that will award you 5% off of your lifetime fees, and I'll be working on some more heavy discounts soon enough as well that it will, obviously award you, especially for the early adopters of that, of that link. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into it right here. Starting off with the setup that we were looking at yesterday. It was a 6-hour time frame Jewel Light setup. The setup is essentially this: anytime that we do see the Jewel Light go below about 36 and then turn white, that initiates setup alongside the PMARP condition, which needs to be below 50 as well. And in this case, if we use the back tester over here, we've seen that over 69, great number right there, prior iterations. A little over 75% of those ones did have a nice upside move. Now we'll go over the average move in a second here. Over the course of an average of about 36 bars, that's including both the winning and losing trades in this case. But 36 bars on a 6-hour time frame would give us how many days? Like 9 days from the official setup given, which the official setup went off over here, which was Tuesday. So we've been 2 days already into that. So we'd be looking basically between now and a week from now if this one is going to play out. The average move in the winning side case would be still about 5.5% from that particular entry. And well, where essentially would that put Bitcoin as it does kind of move around that trajectory? That would put Bitcoin a little bit above $30,000. Very important number right there at $30,000. In fact, we'll be going over that as soon enough. But as you can see, that is still still underway and probably does take some time here. There's gonna be some variance within those results. Obviously, like could be a little bit faster than 9 days, could be a little bit slower than a little bit than 9 days. In my personal opinion, I do think that it'd probably be more on the faster side. But of course, invalidation is still the same as before. Need to see a closure basically below the range lows here at about 27,200 or so. That would indicate invalidation and very likely a much steeper decline in Bitcoin coming back down somewhere around $25,000 would be kind of like my personal area of interest. Anyways, with bounces along the way, of course, as well. Anyways, I wanted to go over a new setup emerging over here on the hourly. And before we actually get into it, I want to preface this one by saying this is going to be another showcase as to why I believe there's incredible power in understanding the statistics that surround these sort of setups here, both in the success case and also in the failure case as well, because we can come up with, plans and in areas of interest based upon this. So in this case, this is an hourly time frame, and you can see on the HPDR indicator, price action has obviously been closing above the blue range highs right here. And as of the last closure, we do see a decline on the volatility moving average. Officially, it was where's my damn thing? Officially, it was here actually on, I think, the most recent one. Yeah, the most recent one. So in that case, this is typically a setup for a higher probability of a downside move. Now, I would say that when we talk about higher probability, in this particular case, it's not that much higher. In fact, this is probably one of the worst setups that I'll present on this, on this channel at 59, just above 59% hit rate on this one on the hourly. And I'd say that these stats are pretty underwhelming just across the board for this particular one, but important to know nonetheless, because again, the purpose of this channel is to just disseminate information about Bitcoin statistics and whatnot, and then you can make the decisions for yourself, obviously. Maybe get yourself out of fucking line drawing hell. Just kidding. No, it's amazing. Couldn't help myself right there, man. No, of course, you can make that work as well too. In fact, I've seen several people do it. Anyways, I've seen a lot of people also not make it work as well. Anyways, going into the performance summary over here. And again, what's it called? Referencing why I think it's incredibly important to know both the failure conditions and the success conditions, because in this case, the average winning trade, that would mean in the case of downside, we're looking at about 3.5% move to the downside. And in the case of a losing trade, which would mean upside price action here, almost the same actually at 339% on average. So what essentially would indicate a failure? Well, a failure would be indicated above 29,400 closing basis. And at that point, what would be the most likely thing to be happening? Well, about almost a 3.5% move to the upside, which guess where that would put Bitcoin? 30,200. Exactly where the presumed average area of interest for the 6-hour setup over here would be as well. Now, in the case of of success, what essentially would be looking for as far as a likely pullback, probably somewhere back down around around 28,500 to lower $28,000 region. So that is within the cards, and there is a slightly higher probability here. Again, I would say that this is like not super high. I usually like to focus the setups on like 70% or higher, just because obviously that's a lot more in your favor. But we've seen so many of these damn setups play out that I wanted to present one that's maybe has a little bit of a lower chance of working out here, just so that people don't get too fucking comfortable with this shit, because it does kind of fill me with fear that while this isn't intended to be financial advice, like I'll sometimes see in comments like, okay, message received, going long as fuck right now, and it's like, all right, well, it's you've seen a lot of them work out. Like, I don't blame you, but understand we're dealing with statistics, not certainties. They are bound to fail at some point. Like, it's within the model. Like, it's okay to see failure. So that's why I do like to go over both both failure and success conditions in these cases. Anyways, so we've gone through that. I want to once again reference the daily range on the HPDR indicator. It's the same thing as before. Basically, above 29,800 would be a pretty damn good early indication, or even 29,600 in my opinion, on a daily closing basis, that Bitcoin's very likely going to make a leg up closer to $32,000. And personally speaking, I do think that things would very likely continue from there, somewhere around $33,000 to $34,000. But that would be like the initial major warning signal. Obviously, other things would likely take place after that time. And by the same token, to the downside, I would start to turn bearish. Actually, you're gonna hear me take on a much more bearish tone if you start to see Bitcoin lose low $27,000. Basically, the lows of what we saw. I think it was about a week or two ago over here. Yeah, at about 27,200 on a closing base. Below there, I do think that Bitcoin would start to begin its descent somewhere close to 24,500 to $25,000, probably an attempt for a bounce there, and then in my opinion probably lower than that over time as well. But for right now, as long as Bitcoin is above 27,200, I do look at the lower term timeframes as more or less oscillating to and fro, but the higher term timeframes putting in a nice consolidation before moving higher. Anyways, going on into the lower term timeframes here, 4-hour Joule is actually given a bit of a continuation signal from the setup that we did witness on Tuesday. So that one's actually still active over here, for what it's worth. And then, of course, if we go over the stochastic momentum pivots, which, do I even have it up here? Where is it? Oh, it's over here. Okay, there we go. I'm just looking at euro dollar in this case. Don't mind me looking at that bullshit, but I'm an American living in Finland, and well, you have to know these things. Anyways, looking at the daily, we can see that the daily stochastic momentum pivot actually was not fulfilled to the downside yesterday. So Bitcoin did close above it, which does keep the more sort of intermediate Bula hopes alive, and will be remaining with upside posture as long as Bitcoin's above 28,930 on a daily closing basis, which right now it's above by about $300, or $200, or I can't do my math. You get the point anyways. But that would be the pivot to be mindful of if Bitcoin starts to close below there today. Pull back first rather than continuation first. 12-hour time frame is also going to be upside, or potentially cross into the upside here, and will officially happen with any sort of a closure above 28,500, which Bitcoin is well above as of right now. Obviously, if the hourly short plays out, then no, it will not. 6-hour time frame, things become a little bit more clear here, showing strong upside pressure as long as Bitcoin's above 28,300. 4-hour time frame is also going to be vertical here above 28,800. So a little bit close current price action, and hourly is going to be flippy flop flop, or as actually not flippy floppy, but is way here in the critical zone, will turn back down below 29,100. So what does that essentially mean? We do see a lot of things kind of coming in a little bit below 29,000 bucks, implying that if Bitcoin starts to lose 29,000 bucks, or let's call it 28,900 on closing bases, that's at the point where I'd say that the hourly herpaderp setup is likely to play out to the downside first. Bitcoin probably, reaccumulates itself and honestly tries another move to the upside after that, playing out the 6-hour time frame. And I suppose that as long as Bitcoin remains above that pivot, well, short-term upside would actually still be more likely within this case. Anyways, I also wanted to reference a setup that we were looking at yesterday, not for Bitcoin, but for Dixie, the dollar index, as we were looking at hidden bearish evidence on the daily coming off the last few highs here. Was confirmed, a couple closures ago, and you can see that Dixie's back down around the lows. I do think that it likely makes one more short-term stab a little bit lower, is like officially around that low that we did see in middle of April, and again in early February right here at about, a little bit below 101, somewhere around like 185, 190 or so. And then maybe another temp for a bounce right there. But does that help out in the short term? Probably yes, because this particular setup over here with the hidden bearish, this is like exactly where you want to see it typically, right at the neutral zone, hidden bearish evidence, boom, back down, testing somewhere at least around the top side of the bearish control zone. So I would say that also adds on to short-term downside pressure, while volatility is like extreme lows here on the daily, like the lowest that we've seen it for the longest time since basically June of 2021. In that case, it did lead to a massive upside march. In this case over here, could it be the same thing? Well, I don't know about that, but the short term probably does try at least one more move lower, as maybe some more banking fears come into the into the public eye. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. I got to get to boxing practice because I need to learn how to not get fucked up, because that's what my fucking trainer does. He fucks me up all the time, just punches me in the goddamn face. I'm like, thanks, bro. Here's your pay for the week. But it's actually really, really fun. And I think we got over basically what we wanted to speak about here. Essentially, a continuation of the analysis thread that we've been having for the past few days here. So that's really what I want this channel to be focused on. It's like having these continuous threads, not get stuck into this bullshit where I see on a lot of channels where it's like up one day, down the next. It's like, oh no, it's terrible, blah 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 blah. I want this to be coming from some sort of statistically based background. All right, sweet. That's enough for me fucking talking my Angus off. I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully. Fuck, I forgot. There's going to be a video coming out later today, a shorts video actually coming out later today, explaining a new thing that we'll be having on Fridays on Twitter, actually. So if you're not on Twitter, I've actually been a lot more active there. I've essentially hired a guy to kind of transcribe what we speak about here on YouTube onto Twitter. He's been doing a fucking phenomenal job, by the way. He's an absolute amazing A-player rock star. But on Fridays, we're going to start what's called Feedback Fridays, where we'll have a thread on Twitter where you can post, sort of the strategies that you're looking at, the setups that you're looking at, and then I'll pick a few to respond to in video format over the next couple of days and explain, why I think that this is good or why I might not think that this is good, and maybe something that you could consider that might make it better. Yeah, cool. There we go. That's where I want to leave it. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.